Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Washington is here with your latest updates on Hurricane Sam. Currently, Hurricane Sam has maximum sustained winds here of 145 miles an hour. According to the tropical tidbits, 145 mile per hour sustained winds. Here at the Hurricane Watching, we were watching the aircraft reconnaissance. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. They found winds excess of 150 miles per hour at the surface, but the air pressure and the wind speed aren't really correlating, and it's not making much sense. So they found winds of up to 150 miles an hour or stronger, but they're only able to find an air pressure of 942 millibars. So it's kind of confusing to me. I'm a little bit confused by it, but this is what we got here, 140. I'm going to go with the 145 just so nobody is confused. I'm going to go with what Tropical Tidbits is saying, and then we'll see what the National Hurricane Center has to say for this storm at around 10 o'clock Central Time. Very, very interested to see what they're going to say, but currently has maximum sustained winds of 145 miles an hour. If it reaches 150, it will tie with the strongest hurricane this year in terms of wind speed, which would have been Hurricane Ida when it made landfall about 29th of August, 2021. So again, obviously, super crazy. So here they're showing 140. If we go here, we go to current storms. They're showing 125 knots. Which 125 knots is a little bit more, in my opinion, is a little bit more accurate with the air pressure. But with the ones that they actually found, it's just not making much sense. So yeah, as you can see, we're talking about a peak at or near 145 knots. Again, this is at the surface. So they did find winds of around 145 knots at the surface. So just over a category. That's 165 mile per hour winds, I believe, right there. But it doesn't correlate with the air pressure, which is maybe why. That would be my only guess right now, is why the National Hurricane Center is holding back until, okay, they may be able to find 145 knot winds, okay, but the air pressure is not correlating, so maybe, my thought is, maybe they're going to try to wait for the air pressure just to bottom out. That might be something they're going to watch out for the air pressure just to bottom out and just drop to the floor. Right now, it's still up there about 942, 941 millibars right now. Not finding a very low air pressure, equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane, which would have winds of 145 knots. Air pressure is not correlating with this at all, so that's why I think they're holding it out. They're going to be holding it out at around 145 miles an hour at the 10 p.m. advisory. That's my opinion, just what I kind of think, just because the air pressure and the wind speed don't correlate. So I think they're going to kind of wait and see if the air pressure is just going to drop out. So yeah, that's the storm. Nothing super crazy. Air pressure, again, 942 millibars is the minimum central air pressure that they actually found, with winds being of 145 knots, which, truthfully, I don't even know how strong that is in miles an hour. It's like 165, but I could easily just be wrong. Oh, shit. Which would have been around 166, which would have been around 65 miles an hour. So, that's how strong they found the winds at surface. But I'm pretty interested to see what they're gonna say here at the next update. In our next update. Tropical is being weird, yeah. So, is it a Category 5? Is what some people are asking. According to Tropical Tidbits, no. According to the National Hurricane Center hasn't come up with the update yet. But it's just a little confusing because the air pressure and the wind speeds don't correlate at all. Alright, 942 millibars at 165 miles an hour just simply doesn't make any sense. Usually air pressures are below 930 millibars for a Category 5. I think Hurricane Michael made landfall at 160 miles an hour with an air pressure of 919 millibars. So usually the air pressure should be a lot lower, but they're not finding low air pressure in the hurricane at all. To that degree, they're not finding anything like that. They're just finding something that's way higher than they're expecting. And so again, that's generally why I think they're going to hold it at 145 miles an hour. It's just because the air pressure does not correlate with the wind speed that they found. That's just my opinion. It's what I generally think. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of not the stream. That's the end of the mission. So again, they did find 945 millibars. Here's the latest satellite imagery, on a Hurricane Sam here. I don't know why it just skips over like that. It kind of bothers me. So again, there is Hurricane Sam. Again, maximum sustained winds are 145 miles an hour. Let me check the chat for any comments, questions, or concerns that I can answer right now. Really, just truthfully, not a lot to even talk about. Just sort of doing little updates about what the storm is doing, and where it's at. I do want to talk a little bit about, well, there's actually a cyclone in another area. Basically, okay. 145 knots, that's 166. It showed 150 knots. Alright, what they were, not quite 150 knots. They're showing 145 knots, I think, is what upon Tropical Tidbits, but, it's just, it's just a really weird air pressure to wind ratio. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it probably makes no sense to the Hurricane Center. They're probably like, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't happen. You don't get 944 millibars or 942 millibars at 165 miles an hour. It just doesn't happen. We're going to keep at 145. I think that's kind of what honestly went on. That's what I think went on. Is they were confused, and they think the air pressure is just going to bottom out, and it hasn't done that yet. It's sort of staying there steady at 140 to 145 miles an hour, and it just hasn't quite bottomed out yet. But again, they did find winds of 165 miles an hour. Yes, I do. Oh, it's a typhoon now. Yes, typhoon mid. Oh, I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm like mid. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'm going to go to zoom out just so you can kind of see the satellite imagery of this typhoon. Is there near the Philippines? No, it's not the Philippines, I think. God, I better be able to recognize it. That thing is tiny, locals. That's a tiny hurricane. Oh yeah, there she is. So this is the typhoon that we're talking about right here. I'm gonna actually pull up the tracks because I want to know how strong this actually is. So 120 miles an hour. It's expected to peak at 150 miles an hour. So this thing is also going through rapid intensification also. Let's get rid of these ads here. So it's incredibly, look how big this storm is. I mean, it's pulling in these rain bands almost all the way from the Philippines to the Mariana Islands. It is just an incredibly powerful, it's a huge storm. It would really bring a lot of storm surge. First things first, let's just do 3 hours. No idea why this is taking so long, but with this storm, I can't pronounce the name of them. I'm just gonna say they're typhoon. So I figured out the pronunciation of the storm. Comments, questions, or concerns? Oh, it's Medul. Okay, I think it's pronounced Medul. How Sam currently has maximum sustained winds of 145 miles an hour, according to Tropical Tidbits. Aircraft reconnaissance they find winds as high as 145 knots, about 165 miles per hour. But I think the National Hurricane Center is going to only upgrade to 145 miles an hour. In my opinion, I think the reason they're going to do that, now this may not happen. They may say a Category 5. I don't know. The update hasn't come out yet. That's still in about 2 hours or so. Like an hour and 45 minutes. Anyway, the reason I think they're going to do this is because the air pressure and the wind speed don't make any sense. The ratio, it doesn't make any sense. 942 millibars to 165 miles per hour doesn't make any sense. Hurricane Michael, 919 millibars, 160 miles per hour. Even Hurricane Matthew was 160, and its air pressure was 934 millibars. Hurricane Iota, 917 millibars. It wasn't even a Category 5, so it doesn't even make any sense. It was 917 millibars at 155 miles per hour. This storm, they've only found 942 millibars and maximum sustained winds of about 165 miles per hour or 145 knots. So just really strange. It's really confusing. They made that. It might be a, I just don't really even understand it that much. Here's the other storm that we're also talking about in the Western Pacific. Incredibly massive. Remember, the Sam is incredibly tiny compared to this system. Storms in the Pacific are just monsters. Typhoons. So this is also a really powerful storm here. I do want to zoom in a little bit. Just out of curiosity, how wide is this storm? That's pretty wide. Give or take a few miles, plus or minus a few miles. But it's about 750 miles in diameter. I might be off. Okay. I just want to know what it looked like in the past 24 hours. That's a hardly moved, didn't he? Where? Wow, look at that. It didn't even have an eye 24 hours ago. I think the eye is actually relatively new. That storm has really just underwent lots of rapid intensification. Lots of convection with this typhoon here. Really see that convection just blowing up. You can really see that eye wall developing here. And then there you can really see the eye starting to pop out right there. There's the eye trying to develop right there. Man, this storm is just blowing up like crazy. Look at that. Look at the eye wall right there. And like all that convection happening in the center of circulation too. Which is also a huge sign of rapid intensification. I should freaking fly airplanes into these because I want to know how powerful the storm is. Wow, its eye just recently started clearing out. It still hasn't completely cleared out yet, I don't think. Wow, that is just incredible. Look at the convection the typhoon has gone through, and there you go. You can really see that eye really there now. It just really blossoms up. It just looks absolutely incredible. Okay, so we have Hurricane Sam. Yeah, it's Mindul. Typhoon Mindul. Well, as of the latest update, Typhoon Mindul, as of midnight, according to Travel Tidbits, Typhoon Mindul has maximum sustained winds of 140 knots, minimum central air pressure 918 millibars. This right here is a Category 5 typhoon. I don't know how the categories work over there, but this is a Category 5 typhoon, 918 millibars. 918 millibars, 140 knots. So, again, this is already surpassing a Category 5. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the second Category 5 typhoon in the West Pacific this hurricane season. First one, I heard something. First one occurred in April, and then we have this one. No, yeah, it was April, and it was over 190 miles an hour. This one's already 140 knots. So, really, typhoons in the West Pacific are dangerous and they're deadly, and they can be incredibly scary if they're headed towards y'all. But yeah, right now this is the most powerful storm, or not the most powerful storm, but this is right now where it's at right now, and it could get even stronger. 140 knots right now. Incredible. Mind blowing. There's Hurricane Sam, 125 knots. Odette, Teresa. And this is what I was talking about, 140 knots. Super Typhoon Mindul, 140 knots, 918 millibars. And this is what there's, oh, it's way too zoomed in. Tokyo, Japan is, I think it's going to curve out like this, so it doesn't make landfall, but I do think Tokyo, Japan could see up to 50 to 60 mile per hour sustained winds. I do zoom this in a slider, right? Yeah, you can kind of see it. It is expected to peak until the 26th at 1800 UTC, 130 knots. Gusts to 160 knots. Absolutely an incredibly powerful typhoon here. This is the latest satellite imagery from, I think, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Let's see surface temperatures. That is the storm, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see. Lots of convection. Really dangerous typhoon here. Category 5 typhoon. Definitely Category 5 typhoon. Let's go to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Let's see what they have to say. Oh. Right here they're saying maximum sustained winds were 105 knots. This is very off by a lot. The text, let's see what they're saying for the text. Or the graphic, I should say. I think it's literally the same thing, yeah. So this is off by a lot. They still got quite a ways to go until this is anywhere near where it really is going to be at. I wonder what I have to look up the Japanese Meteorological Organization to see what they're saying. Japan Meteorological Agency Typhoon Center. RSMC. See what they have to say here. Oh, now I remember. I've used this website so many times when I was posting on Instagram. Okay. Very strong. Okay. Violent. Violent. Very strong. Violent. 910. 905. Oh, Lord. Maximum wind speed 115 knots near the center. Maximum gusts. Wow. A typhoon. That doesn't make any sense. 115 knots. That's not making much sense to me. Alright, I'm going to go back to tropical tidbits. That is just incredible. And then we also have tropical cyclone. Okay, can we go to tropical tidbits like I asked? I didn't type normal. Okay. And then we also have, I don't know if it's tropical cyclone Gulab. That's how you pronounce it there. It's expected to go right over India. One of the small stars going over India, surviving, somehow strengthening over land 998, 996, weakening over water 999. No, I don't even know. I don't even know what this is. This is like a joke. So we're gonna go back to Zoom Earth, show you all that if I can get there. I'm going to try to go to the Indian Meteorological Department and see. Indian Meteorological Department. I can't even spell. I don't think I spelled that right. No, damn. Alright. Any comments, questions, or concerns? What we got here? So there's a system right there. I'm going to see if I can see any radar. I don't want, like, right here. I think this is it. Or do I need to go further south? I don't technically know. There's nothing that's very well defined. Oh, what the? This is so slow. This is kind of difficult if I'm being honest. It's a lot harder to find radar than I thought. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the warnings and see what they're saying here. Just gonna go back. That was in here. No, oops, that's not what I meant. Okay, great, fine, it's fine, it's right. So again, it has developed. We're gonna have to really watch carefully and see what the storm does in the future. Oh man. Oh, that's not good. Is there any storm surge warnings? Oh, yes, there is. Yes, there is. Oh, centimeters. Okay. Much higher over here. There's really not a lot more to talk about, just kind of going over all the systems here. Super cyclonic storm. It's extremely severe cyclonic storm. Very severe. Well, that's a lot of different, I guess, stuff going on. So right here upon landfall, it would have winds of about 50 miles an hour, and here it would be only 40 miles an hour. So these areas we still gotta watch quite carefully. But what's its intensity though? 45 miles an hour. So it's getting winds of 45 miles an hour. Here they're saying it's going to stay that intensity and it's not going to strengthen anymore. Well, we're just going to have to watch and see what happens. Well, I literally don't even have anything else to talk about. Does anyone have any other comments, questions, or concerns? And Tropical Tidbits is broken again. Can I refresh this? Tropical Tidbits has just been broken for so freaking long. If I zoom out, look at the difference. Look how big this storm over here is. Look how freaking tiny this is. So remember that one over there was about 750 miles wide. Alright, let's see how wide you are. Incredibly tiny, only about 300 miles wide. Maybe wider, I don't know. That is an incredibly small storm. So it's only about, 79,000 square miles. Just in terms of reference. Let's zoom out. You can't even, see the whole thing. It's like a joke, dude. It's incredibly tiny. Very, very tiny storm. Not even 100,000 square miles. Maybe I'm off a little bit. I probably am. Well, that's gonna be it today, guys. I have it. Oh, come on, just zoom in. So that's it today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Chances are I will not be streaming at 10 p.m. because I am so dead. I'm so tired. I want to go to sleep. But that is going to be it for today, guys. Alright. I want to make sure my microphone was up all the way so y'all can actually hear what I'm saying. That's it today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. And if I do a stream, then you will know about it because I'll be streaming. Here it is. This is the latest update. Here it is. Hurricane Sam. That's supposed to stay in winds at 145 miles an hour. And we have that other storm, hurricane, typhoon, and that was Pacific for 140 knots. Just another very, very powerful storm. I'm going to check the chat one last time. Then I'm going to have to change my thumbnail. That is it for today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Peace. Peace out.